1989, yeah, 1989. And I thought there was no way for China to reverse, but continue to liberalize to become one of the open society of the world. So at that time, I was 40 years old. And I have made enough money for somebody who is 40 years old. And I thought that was a great business to go into media business, because by delivering information, you're delivering liberty. And that would be a wonderful business to deliver liberty, for young businessmen. And that's how I went into the media business. I have been wrong. China have not been liberalizing. But I haven't been wrong by choosing this business, because this business really gave me the meaning of work, of life, because being a businessman or being a rich man is very boring. But this media business gave me all the fight, all the reason to fight, the reason to get up in the morning and to do what is in front of me is so interesting, it's so controversial. And I love it. I love it. And of course, being an opposition media, you always have oppositions. You always have to pay a price. There's no free lunch. And we have had advertising embargoes. That's why for a long time, we haven't been profitable, or so I have to support it with my own money in some way. And also, my journalists, when they go to China, they're being watched or sometimes, detained for a few hours to just update what's Apple Daily doing, development, what I'm doing and all that. They just get informations, and they get shut off from a lot of government press conference and all that. Well, a lot of inconvenience, but also because people who are working in our organization have shared the same value and mission, and that make them a very different kind of journalist, because there's no censorship. And they know that they are contributing to the freedom of the society, and that make their life very meaningful and worth working for. Even now, under the national security law, and we were raped like 2.5 months ago. Some of the executive was arrested along with me. But the morale is still very high. I have a few, only a few of our staff resigned just because, they got intimidated. But otherwise, we are fighting on, and people are very determined to keep the business going, although we don't know how long we can keep it. Under this national security law, and now Hong Kong is all quiet. It's all intimidated. It's not peaceful. It's a silence of suffocation. We are not allowed to have demonstrations, and our pro-democracy legislators, because of the DQ of a few of them, had to resign. So in both the street, no demonstrations, and in the Legislative Council, there's no opposite voice or people to stop bad bills, horrible bills. So Hong Kong is worrying at this moment, because if we don't have news, would the world forget about us? If the world forget about us, we'll be in big trouble. because the world's voice and support is our only saving grace. Because the reason we fight is because we share the same value of the free world, of the Western world, which is the legacy of our British colonial past. The British did not give us democracy, but the British gave us the rule of law, the freedom of speech, the private property right, the freedom of assembly, religion, all that freedom institution that we grow up with. And that's why last time I was talking to Lord Patton. He was asking why the young people born after he left are actually fighting for freedom and the value that we share with the West, just because we all live with the institution the British colonial time left behind. And if we fail, if we are defeated, that could be a damage to the credibility of the Western countries' value system. That's why it's very important the world has to know that it is not that we are fighting just for us. We are in the frontier fighting for the value that the free world share with us. And we need them to support us. If we fall, it's like Berlin fall at the time when the Cold War was with Soviet Union. If Berlin falls, the credibility of the American and the European countries' political will to fight Soviet Union will collapse. And there's no way that the eventual victory of the Western country over Soviet Union will prevail. And this is a lesson we have to look back to and learn from. And that's why Hong Kong matters, because we matters as the value holders of the West. We are fighting in the frontier for this value, that we need the value, we need the Western country, the US, the British, the EU countries to have our back.